Welcome to this episode of ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and I am joined today by David Evans, VP of Product Management for UC&C from GoTo, and we're going to be talking about practical AI for SMBs. I'm sure a topic that's near and dear to everybody's heart. Before we do that, though, David, welcome, and just a quick bio on yourself, what you do, and what GoTo does.
Yeah, very good. Really happy to be here. So thanks for having me on the podcast. So I run the product management team for GoTo Connect. So GoTo is split into two halves. We have one half looking at business communications, and then the other half looking at IT solutions. And the other half is called Log Me In. It's a brand that people know and love out there. And on the GoTo Connect side, we have a portfolio of products that includes unified communications, contact center, and now CX and AI products. We live in a fascinating time when it comes to technology, so a lovely mix of different capabilities there. But yeah, I lead the product team, and my team decides all the great stuff that we work on for our customers.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I just as an analyst, I can get invited to a lot of events, and the spring season just ended, and I can't think of an event that I went to where AI wasn't the top theme. And it doesn't matter if it's networking, security, collaboration, whatever, AI is the top thing. Now, there's a tremendous amount of hype around it right now. And from your perspective, is it warranted, or is the reality going to live up to the hype, you think?
Yeah, I think it's a question that we've asked ourselves for a while. AI has been around for more than a decade in one guise or another, and probably longer than that. And I think in the first sort of the pre-generative AI, pre-LLM world, as an industry, we probably made a few promises that we didn't live up to. We probably created some experiences that weren't optimal, and to some extent, we're still living through the kind of reinvention of that image. But post-generative AI, post-LLMs, the last couple of years, it has completely transformed, I think, what AI can do for us. So I think in the past, there was probably a time where there was some hype out there. I think where we are now is there is a very, very realistic chance that this technology will transform the way we think about almost everything we do, and not least in the world of communication. So I subscribe to the hype is real this time. I think it will be.
I actually agree with you. If you think about the impact the internet had, it changed the way we work, live, learn, and play. And changing really the economics of the world. I think AI is going to do the same and much bigger. Now, with that being said, in my conversations with business leaders and IT leaders, there's a tremendous amount of interest in AI today, but deployments tend to be a little spotty, right? And I think companies are trying to figure out what to do with AI because there's so many things that it could do. What are customers telling you?
Yeah, so our customers, and I think you said this very well in the intro, GoTo Connect focuses on mostly on small, mid-size, and larger companies that have multiple locations. So we look after some very, very big customers, but they tend to have similar problems to smaller businesses just across multiple locations. And we hear different things. We hear different things from customers that are in this segment than maybe some of the customers we talk to that are and potential customers in the large enterprise. And what we found is that people are a little confused about where to get started. I think that's where some of that spotty nature comes from. Some tried already and maybe failed, and they were a little cautious. And there are some that haven't tried and are super keen to get going. We just had a customer advisory board a couple of weeks ago. We brought some of our customers in and talked to them. And what we found is that we had some that were holding back. They weren't sure about where to go, and some that were really pushing the boundary. I think the most important thing is you have to get started. You have to find somewhere very practical to choose first, and you have to get on that path. But at the moment, I'd say pushing it too far, trying to maybe run before you can crawl and walk, is probably the wrong approach as well. So some balance and some practicality, I think, is what's needed.
Yeah, I actually saw a report the other day that although employees are playing with AI and trying it out, they don't fully trust it yet. And so it's created this weird situation where you ask it a question and then you go validate the answer, which actually creates more work because you could have just gotten the answer yourself. But to me, it reminds me a lot of the early days of things like Google Maps and Waze, where I remember very vividly in my mind, I was driving from New York to Boston and it tried to reroute me. And I'm like, I'm not taking that route. That seems stupid. Then lo and behold, I got stuck in traffic, right? And so, with enough corrections, you learn to trust it. I think we're in that phase now. Now, when you think about AI, right, and especially in that small and mid-sized business, there's a lot of things AI, as I mentioned, could do, from co-pilots, autonomous agents, business analytics. What do you think is the sweet spot for that small to mid-size audience today with respect to AI?
Yeah, I think the sweet spot, there's two ways of thinking about AI. And when we talk to customers, we often frame it in this way. There's using AI to do what you do today more efficiently. I think that's probably the sweet spot we sit in today. How do you take the business processes that you have and realize efficiencies within doing that? And there are lots of really interesting ways that you can do that. There are some ways that are not as optimal. The example you gave is a perfect one. But if you apply the right type of diligence and persistence into it, you can get really solid gains. I think the sweet spot will move over time, is my gut feel. It will move away from just getting those linear gains that you get from doing what you did better to really transforming how you think about AI and its application in your industry. And it will apply differently across different types of industries. But what we encourage our customers to do is to let vendors help, vendors like GoTo, let us find those practical AI gains. But when you think about reapplying what you've saved, don't bank it as savings. Use that as a way to fuel these really transformative things that are changing the way that your industry works. So I think the sweet spot right now is I think heavily buried in that practical world, but I think it's what that those practical gains buy you in terms of being able to be transformative. That's where it gets very interesting to us.
Yeah, and when companies think about the business impact it could have, what do you think? Where should their heads be at? Should they be looking for a big bang and some kind of transformative effect? Do you think they should be looking at, maybe helping with staff reductions, things like that, or being able to maintain staff? What's the real business value here for that audience?
Yeah, so when we talk to our customers, again, keep in mind that these are sort of small, mid-size, and those larger customers with multiple locations. They're looking in a few areas, and I think from our perspective, there are three broad areas that have seen we've seen customers really adopt the solutions that we've built. One of them is I think table stakes now. It's summarizing calls, making sure that you're not doing the remedial tasks that you're doing day to day. It's having real-time access to sentiment and knowing what experiences you're creating out there and being able to step in and do something about that in good time. And then probably we created a solution called AI optimization, which had those two features and also gave the ability to analyze all calls in a contact center. And it doesn't just have to be within the contact center. A lot of our customers take a whole company approach to serving customers. Being able to analyze all of those calls was groundbreaking for our customers. So I think there's lots of really practical gains, but sometimes you come across something in the analytics that is a step change in your business. But that's the first area that we've seen customers make big gains. There are a couple of others that are just worth mentioning. One is that the AI has allowed us to build software faster. This is the thing that's really exciting to me, is it's not just about using AI to do business better. We can actually create things faster. And so we've been able to build a lot of solutions for our customers that has been, I think, quite transformational for them. And then the third bucket is AI employees and digital workforce. Is a whole topic unto itself. But I think in those three areas, making sure that you're taking out, taking out that menial work, making practical gains, that you're working with vendors that are giving you really interesting new solutions, and you've got half an eye on what those digital employees are going to do for you in the long run. I think those are the areas that I'd be focusing.
Yeah, you touched on a couple of different things that were interesting. The call logs, or transcribing calls, is interesting because that's something nobody likes to do. And so we're using AI to enable the mundane to be done a lot better. But then when you start thinking about analyzing the content of calls, that's something you couldn't do before, right? And so I think in this case, you brought up something that makes us more efficient, but also allows us to transform our company, because we just really, I think when it came to voice calls, that was dark data for a lot of companies. And let's shift now to GoTo itself. I know you have quite a wide range of AI features, and can you talk about some of them? How are you helping your customers with AI, and what are some of the more unique features you have?
Okay, great. So I've already talked about the AI optimization add-on.
Yeah.
That was our first foray. And again, I think that's pretty much table stakes. I think you want to be looking for that from any vendor that you're working with. Where we've seen some big steps forward is actually a similar problem around your customer-facing employees and coaching opportunities. we've often thought in the past about things like quality management as a way to check up on employees, making sure that they're doing the things that we want them to be doing, and giving good service to customers. But a lot of our customers think about quality management as, when I get into a one-to-one conversation with my employees, how can I make them better? How can I give them some tips to elevate their performance? And we've been able to build a foundational AI service around quality management, where, again, we analyze all of those calls, but we look for key performance metrics, and we give a really nice coaching overview, so that supervisors and managers can give that to their employees. So this is one of those foundational products that we built using AI that took a fraction of the time that it would have done before. It's a fraction of the cost, and it's super easy to deploy. So that's been a lot of fun. I think the biggest thing that's created organic interest for our customers is our digital workforce program, and our first AI employee that we released, which was our AI Receptionist. So this is a receptionist that you can put live. A lot of our customers are using it for out-of-hours service. Some of them spending tremendous amounts of money doing out-of-hours services. What you can do is turn on our AI Receptionist. It will answer your top 10, 20 questions repeatedly and very efficiently. It can capture information and pass that around as well. And we're adding capabilities to schedule meetings and those type of things. That's the thing that I think has set our customer base alight right now, is what AI employees can do for our customers. And I think that's where a lot of the big gains we'll see in the future are going to come from, augmenting our human workforce with an AI workforce.
Yeah, the thing I like about the AI Receptionist, especially for that small, mid-sized business audience, is during the pandemic, a lot of the receptionists quit, and they're trying to replace those people. But they also recognize the fact that in this world of hybrid work, they might only need that person in the office 2-3 days a week. And so do you want to hire a full-time receptionist to staff an office only a couple of days a week? And by using an AI receptionist, that reception is always on. It's always answering the phones. And so I think that's an interesting case where we talk about, people get, I think, overly worried about AI taking jobs. Here's a case where AI is filling a job that businesses struggle to fill themselves, right, with a lot of turnover. So, to me, that's actually a really great use case. No,
yeah, I agree. I think I say everything you said there, I fundamentally agree with. And I think what surprised most of our customers is just how natural and good these experiences are. I think they come on expecting maybe some of those first-gen experiences. So if you haven't tried it, look at some of the new technology that's coming out, because it feels great to deal with.
Yeah, well, and so to me, that's the big leap in technology here. I think even when we tried bots and things in the past, everybody hated those, right? We had a terrible experience, and all you really ever did, even with an IVR, was you just asked it to get you to a human. I think these AI agents now have gotten so good that it won't be long before, when you call a brand and you get a human, you're going to wish you had gotten the virtual agent. And I know I asked a couple of banks that, and they didn't think that was true. And I said, well, think back to the days of online banking. People said no one would ever bank online. You'd always want to go in and talk to a person. Lo and behold, you would never do business with a bank today unless you had online. And so the thing with that AI receptionist that I think people need to understand, it's going to get you answers that are faster, more accurate, right, and without any hold time. And so I think, I can envision a day where hold is dead, right? We just never have hold anymore because we don't need it. So now,
I think about what that does what that does to traditional metrics in the contact center as well. We'll actually start encouraging more communication, not less communication, with these types of services. I think it's going to be a fun run from here with this technology.
Yeah, well, average handle time now becomes a metric you don't need to track, because you might wind up having longer conversations and things, right? So you don't have to have your customers. Now, David, without getting you in any kind of trouble with your company, can you talk about what's on your roadmap?
Yeah, I can definitely give you some a forward look at some of the interesting things that we've got going on. So first and foremost, this digital workforce program that we have is really fundamental to us. We do genuinely believe that there's a lot of, especially frontline service, that is ripe for a better experience, exactly as you described. All the benefits of providing that experience around accessibility and expediency, and the fact that you don't have to feel guilty about calling in a dozen times to get different pieces of support. So we've worked on our AI receptionist first, but that's the first step in a program from here. So we're already working on scheduling, so being able to make sure you can schedule an appointment. So many verticals and industries that we work within that really need that experience to be expedite. How frustrating is it that you need to phone up and wait for a long time and get transferred to 3 places to get an appointment booked? So that's a use case that's pretty close to fruition for us. And beyond that, we're looking at a kind of 3 broad areas. AI employees and AI experiences are only as good as the actionability behind them. So we've got a lot of investment going into the buzzword of the moment, which is orchestration. We often think about that as automation. How do you make sure that when you ask to do something that those AI employees can actually action things on the back end? And the other part of that is also looking at integration. So we're investing a lot, making sure it can have access to the systems it needs, and you can orchestrate those experiences. And the difference now between when we think about this orchestration layer, it used to be that it had to be very structured. It was like a script and a flow that it had to flow through. Agentic AI is the definition of changing that into something that can reason on its own. So, and the final thing is we're looking at how having AI and human employees together. I had something really fascinating the other day, which was with AI employees, IT is the new HR, which I felt was I've heard it a few times now in a few different places. We're really thinking about how, when a lot of service is done by AI employees, how does that change the way we work on the back end? Well, maybe we're more mobile. Maybe we're just there as a triage layer, and actually the mobile app becomes more important. So that's what's on our mind right now in terms of our roadmap in the near future.
Yeah, I'm curious if IT wants to be the new HR. So I guess maybe it's going to be thrust upon them whether they want it or not. So.
Yeah, I imagine it probably doesn't, but it's coming.
Yeah. All right. So last question, we'll wrap up here, David. For my audience out there, and for people thinking about doing AI, again, it can be quite a complicated, intimidating landscape right now. A couple pieces of advice on how to get started.
Yeah. So I think the first thing, and I think there are always really two pieces of advice that are in the front of my mind. The first one is to start very practically. Start with something that gives you a measurable benefit and a good feel good. You need to get the organization feeling really good about what AI is going to do, and starting with something that either takes a very long time to figure out, or something that doesn't give a really measurable, tangible gain. That's a tough place to start. Choose something that is relatively simple and really tangible. That gives you that confidence and that feel good feeling of everybody around you. And the second thing is the pace of technology change is terrifying. You mentioned that this feels like the internet. I mean, this is exactly the same magnitude of change for us. And I think the best way to do that, especially if you're a small mid-size or a business with multiple locations, is to find a partner. Find the right partner that cares deeply about the problems that you're trying to solve, and let those partners worry about the rate of technology change. Let them pluck off the shelf the right use cases for you, so that you can just keep running your business knowing that these capabilities are going to turn up at the right time when they're just going to mature enough for you to hold on to. So yeah, those partnerships and technology partnerships across your business, I think are going to be fundamentally important. So always ask those questions about what your vendors think is the future, and make sure you've got the right people alongside you in the right companies to do that. That would be my advice.
Yeah, actually, one of the pieces of advice I always give is the best way to get started is to get started. You can sit there and analyze the stuff, 7 different ways from Sunday, but ultimately, in fact, I heard a speaker say this the other day, that with AI, there's no fast followers. If you're going to sit there and wait for your competition to do it and learn from them, you're already behind. And so I think the technology has gotten to the point where it does work. If you try it out, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give people, is if you may have some historical bias because you tried some of these things in the past. And let's face it, David, a lot of the stuff that was dubbed to be AI in the past was just simple rules-based engines. So they weren't really AI. But today, the systems are much better. Try it out yourself, see how it works, and figure out how to use it within your organization. There's a lot of things we do in companies that are suboptimal. Trying to transcribe calls, things like that AI just does much better than people. And so do the stuff you like to do. The stuff you don't like to do, find a way to get AI to do it. So,
yeah, perfectly said. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, David?
No, I think you encapsulated the thinking here, and it's
Yeah.
why we use this term practical AI so often. Is that I think that's what we need now. We need a dose of practicality to make sure we can get started, but don't lose sight of that opportunity to be deeply transformative. Have both of those things. You've got to win now with what AI will allow you to be more competitive, and you may get left behind if you're not on that journey. But also, it's going to allow you to be deeply transformative, and that's as big as your imagination
Yeah.
can be. So always think in those two notes.
All right. And if they want to learn more about GoTo, your website's just simply goto.com, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, you can find out everything you need from there.
All right. And look for a link in the YouTube description below. So on behalf of David Evans from GoTo, I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and give us a like. And I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast. Thanks, Dave.